Historically rough in Minnesota. Could this roughness be reality? Next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum. Why, that's interesting. That didn't run like it was supposed to. At least it didn't on my end, so we will bring it back. How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKED on the NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you for making Locked on Jazz your first listen. Thank you for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network. And everydayers out there, you're the best. I've taken some time, and not a lot, but and figured out some things programming-wise for the year. Here's what we're going to do. Monday third segments are going to, this is going to drive me crazy. My hair is, for those of you on YouTube, my hair is Monday morning batty, and it's nothing I can do about it now. All right. Monday, third segment, last of the show, will be Trends Monday, like it always has been. Tuesdays will be Late Game Watch. Wednesdays will be Jazz Trends and Will Wednesday. So if Will has interesting comments throughout the week, we'll pull them back because he's the leader of the ship. Thursday will be Late Game Watch. And then Friday, I don't think we'll do anything because the Ask LOJ questions have been so good. So everydayers, you're with us every day. That's the plan. Today's show, Trends Monday to end it. We'll talk about what we've seen without Walker. It's ugly. The road trip, where some of the guys are, what's happening, and where we are. That performance on Friday night in Minneapolis was historically bad. It was the largest deficit we've ever had at the end of the first quarter, the largest deficit we've ever had at the half. And it was, I'm not going to give fifth game of the road trip kind of stuff to that. But I will say this, like when the year started, we talked about 240 minutes. And if you recall, the 240 minutes is how many minutes you have on your roster that are established NBA players. And so Lauri came in at 34. Walker and Nurkic came in at 48 combined. And then you had to decide what you were going to do with Keyonte. And the comment I made was, I'll give Keyonte 24. But if he played for any other team in the league, I wouldn't give him any. Like if you told me that a 2-year player that shoots 39% from the field and 31% from three in his first 2 years in the NBA, that is not going to be a player that I'm going to say is established 2 years into their career of being an NBA player. Now, this was at the beginning of the year, and we've seen, and he shot, it's 39 and 33. But so, and that's it. Like, then you can maybe like Kyle Anderson 12, but probably not. And you can probably go George Niang. I would give George Niang like 14. So when the year started and we looked at this, out of 240 potential NBA minutes, I think we had 110. We were literally going into the season knowing we were going to play, might have been 120, kind of is my memory. Half of our minutes every single night are with players that are still trying to establish themselves as NBA players. Doesn't mean they won't be, but it also doesn't mean they will be. That's the reality of where we are as a franchise. We just lost 32 of those minutes. We just lost 30%, a little less, 28, 29, of our limited minutes that are NBA players. And just be totally honest about where everybody is. Kyle has not established himself as an NBA player yet. Isaiah has not established himself as an NBA player yet. Taylor has not established himself as an NBA player yet. Bryce has not established himself as NBA rotation player. Let me rephrase this. NBA rotation. It just hasn't happened yet. And it may or may not. But let's just, that's the truth. That's what we're doing this season. Cody has not established himself as an NBA rotation player yet. Keyonte truly hasn't. He's on his way. He looks great in most ways. So the reality is we're walking into an arena where we're playing a team that's not quite 240, but pretty close with a bunch of all-stars. And we're rolling out right now with 30% of the minutes we're playing every night are established NBA minutes. Maybe. Right? 34 from Lauri. Nurk's not a 30-minute NBA player anymore. If Nurk played for another team and he was the backup center for 18 minutes a night, I'm going there. We'll give Nurk 20. We can give him 30. I don't care. Bust it up. No need to make it bigger. And then if we give Keyonte 24, 30, Keyonte on a good team's not playing 30 minutes a night right now. And honestly, at 39% shooting and 33% for your field, I don't know that Keyonte's playing for a not very good team. I don't know he's playing for the Knicks right now. He should. He's going to get there, but that's my point. And, if we look at the other teams that are dealing with this, there's Washington and Brooklyn, and the rosters are similar. They're getting toasted. So getting waxed and getting blown out is probably an unfortunate, Brooklyn lost to New York 134-98 last night. And that game was 18 points at the end of the first quarter. It was kind of the exact same game we just watched. And then it kind of stayed at 18. The one thing that was interesting to me about Friday night in the NBA, just to share, is that there weren't any close games, which lets you believe that the minute it was cup play and the margin of error mattered, teams don't work their way back like they often do in the NBA, where the other team relaxes, it gets within 8, and then you work your way back up. It also tells you how fruitless some of those minutes are. But this was, Brooklyn last night never got inside 20. Go look at Washington play. Washington played Dallas. Was a closer game because Dallas is not particularly good. But if we go find the last time that Washington played a really good team, they played Boston the other night, who we beat, and they lost 136-107. Boston hit their threes that night. So I just think these nights are unfortunate. The most unfortunate thing is that they zap the soul of your team because it's embarrassing. Here's the things I'm going to watch in the midst of all this. One of the things that really has to start happening, and this is not easy, and it sounds silly, and there's no metric for it, but our guys have to start owning their own space. This goes back a little bit to the show I did where let's not be the get well guys. There's a little bit right now that Minnesota ran into every single, I rewatched the first quarter. They just ran into every single play they wanted to. They got everything open. Literally the first play of the game, they just rip it out of our hands and dunk. You've got to own your own space. I understand that if you are Keyonte George guarding Anthony Edwards, that Anthony Edwards is better than you. I got it. If you're Isaiah Collier playing Dante DiVincenzo, I get it. Dante DiVincenzo is better than you. If you are Taylor Hendricks or whoever our starting three is, or Svi Mikhailuk, and you're going up against Jaden McDaniels, I understand that Jaden McDaniels is 6 inches longer and bigger athlete and a better player than you. I got it. If you're Yusuf Nurkic and you're playing Rudy Gobert, you're both 10-year veterans at this point. Own your space. And if you're going up against Julius Randle and you're Lauri Markkanen, own your space because you're better than he is. Or as good. Probably the same. So that's the one thing I would say. And then when our bench guys come in who are young and scared and not sure what's going on and still trying to figure out, they need to own their own space. And they need to impact guys. And they need to have it be felt. That to me would be the biggest area of growth for this group right now. I'm not sure that they have the confidence in themselves to go do that or how to do it. It's a skill because you get called for fouls a bunch of times while you're doing it. So, there's a concept in the NBA that like the officials only call abnormal activity as a foul. So if you're someone like Houston and you're physical the entire time, none of the behavior looks abnormal. And so therefore they don't get called for fouls. We need to make it look normal to be physical and impactful on the ball and motion and routes and things of that nature. That's the biggest thing that jumps out to me watching right now. That would be, I don't know that it's fair to ask some of our younger players who are trying to establish themselves to be equally as good as Jaden McDaniels tonight, or Anthony Edwards, or Dante DiVincenzo, or Julius Randle, or Rudy Gobert. Now, when they're guarding Jalen, when they're up against Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon, if Terrence Shannon plays, and Rob Dillingham, then they better be as good as they are. Because those are not established NBA players either. So there's that aspect of things too. And that is when you're actually playing someone who's not an established player, how do you look? It was the great thing about Filipowski's summer league was that against a bunch of guys who he should annihilate, he annihilated them. That's great. But now Kyle Filipowski's got to figure out how he's going to play against someone that's not Adam Bona, who's good. He's playing well for Philadelphia. That's the best player played this summer. Isaiah Collier gets the start. Why? Let's road trip summary, and the non-Kessler impact is significant. Next on Locked On Jazz. Monday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by our friends over at Murdoch Chevy. Murdoch Chevy is located in Woods Cross. It is also located in Logan. And the Chevy lineup of trucks, well, it's the Silverado and it's the Colorado, and it's awesome. The Silverado I got to drive the Silverado for a while, and I'm not a truck. I've never been a truck guy. And I was like, oh, this is why people love trucks. There's also the Silverado EV now as well out there. If you never want to stop at a gas station, again, the lineup of Silverados, the 1500, the HD, the 3500, the 2500 HD, and now the EV are all there for you. And it is incredible. Right now is truck season, of course, because the winter supposedly is coming at some point, and 0% APR up to $8,123 value when you trade in an eligible vehicle as well. All sorts of great deals right now. 0% APR on the 2026 Silverado 1500, the Equinox EV, and the Trailblazer. All taking place at Murdoch Chevy, located in Woods Cross, also in Logan. If you're going to stop by, please email me first so that we can give you the VIP treatment that you deserve as a Locked On everydayer. Email me at dlocks09@gmail.com and we'll get you set up. Have the sales guy waiting for you. Don't have to go through any of the rigmarole, and make sure you get what you deserve by being a Locked On everydayer. Today's show is also brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, but every day. Locking in on every opportunity and every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channeling that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's legendary advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more for yourself, expect more for your money. Get started at Robinhood.com. Your money. Again, that's Robinhood.com/your money. Your money, your move. Thank you very much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Awesome. You guys are amazing. It's almost 10 years. My wife and I were at dinner the other night talking about this. Free plug for a restaurant that's very high-end, expensive, and super cool, only because there weren't enough people there, and I hope it survives, and I'm rooting for them. So I went to a restaurant. It's a tasting menu. I'm just going to tell you the whole deal. It's 7 courses, and it's like $115 per person. So it's expensive. This is special night out. And it's called Monte. And it's Monte. And I don't know if you've heard about it. I had just heard about it from friends. It's a type of restaurant we've not had in Salt Lake before. We have Table X. And I believe that restaurants are part of your culture and important. And so I'm giving them a free plug, because of the fact they didn't ask for this. I paid for my whole meal. If they're going to hear about this and be like, I had no idea he was in the building. My wife and I just went and had a wonderful time. It was really, really good. And I just am rooting for them. And I'm nervous that we need restaurants like this in Salt Lake. Like, it's important to have some of these high-end things. It's also important to have the non-high-end things, but these are important. Those are not mutually exclusive. So anyway, if you're a foodie like me, two things. One is I went to an incredible place in Detroit. And if you'd like to know about it, just email me at dlock09. If you're going to any NBA city and you want to go to a restaurant, just email me at dlock09 and I'll give you a restaurant. I promise you, I'm into this. But Monte was super good. They're trying really hard. They're doing creative stuff. They're located in a distillery and they're kind of hidden and you just wouldn't know about them. And it's in South Salt Lake. And so there. Okay. All right. Isaiah Collier starts. Why? Well, one of the things that Will Hardy talked about to start the two things. One, nobody will say it, but I thought maybe the Walker Kessler injury allows it. I don't know that you can play Walker and Isaiah Collier together. That's always been one of my things because that's just two total non-shooters on the floor. Isaiah is convinced he's going to shoot well this year, which is great. And if it is, then it's a game changer for his career. He believes that he had talking to him that he had something in his wrist and it was a screw and it came loose last year during the season and it made it almost impossible for him to bend his wrist. And now he can bend his wrist and he'll be able to shoot. So that let's go that's true. That's awesome. Here's the thing that Will's dealing with right now. And prior, it's gotten a little bit better. But the Jazz are the fifth slowest team in the NBA to their first action. We've always kind of been this way. We're the seventh slowest team across half court. I believe this is only because we've sped up in the last few days. These numbers are actually getting quicker. We have the 12th longest possessions of any team. So once we get across half court, right? So just take this. We get across half court. We're the seventh slowest team in the league to get across half court. We take the seventh longest to get across half court. Let's phrase it that way. Then once we get across half court, we're the fifth longest team to get into our first action. But then our possessions are the 12th longest. So once we get into our actions, whether it's Lauri on a pin down or whatever it might be, or a handoff action, we're doing pretty well. Will would like us to play with some more force and get across better and not be pressured back. In Portland, there's clearly a scouting report that came out against us. And I asked Will about whether teams are defending us differently. He said, no. Teams I see have just pressured us relentlessly in the backcourt, slowing us down, making it difficult for us to get where we need to get to and get into our sets. And so having a secondary ball handler and having Isaiah Collier on the floor is supposed to help that. Now, the problem is we're also right now 28th in the league in three-point shooting at 30.5%, which is just stunningly low. But we'll see. All right, road trip summary. Just quick numbers on a few of our guys. So Lauri, teams have zeroed in on him. Lauri got back to kind of a normal instead of 30 points a game. He averaged 24 points a game, 5 rebounds. The number that jumps out to me is down to 1 assist. So one of the things that was most obvious was how he was getting assists to every other guy and helping everybody else out. Some of that was Walker. He only shot 41% and 28% from 3 on the trip. So those are not great numbers from our king guy. Keyonte, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Amazing. He's shooting 43% from the field, and he's up to 33% from 3, which is right on his career average. And he's 86% from the free throw line, and he's taking 8 free throws again. Keontae's amazing. The overall three-point shooting number, I'm not going to lie to you, is a little disturbing, but 33% in the last 5, kind of like the most recent trend, is all right. Keontae's getting 36% of his field goals as layups or dunks. Lauri's getting 59% of his field goals made as layups or dunks right now. Keontae's getting 33% of his points at the free throw line. Amazing. But Keyonte's great. Like, that is the story of the road trip, is 33 minutes a night, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. He's drawing He's taking 8 free throws a game. He's drawing like 5 or 6 fouls a game. 6 fouls drawn a game right now. The other one is Keyonte is shooting 63% on layups. That's super high. Lauri's at 52%, just to put that in comparison. You want the crazy number? Yusuf Nurkic is shooting 43% on layups on the road trip. Kyle Filipowski is shooting 33% on layups. Those two do not have good rim finishers right now. All right, other quick notes. Ace Bailey, 40%, 20% from 3 on the road trip, 20 minutes a game. So he's up to 21 minutes a game. He's trying to learn, figure it out. This is going to be a progression. It's going to take some time. Not a great road trip for Kyle Filipowski. 35% from the field, 27% from 3. Yusuf Nurkic, your starting center, is now 34% from the field and 10% from 3. And 58% from the free throw line. I mean, if you go back and listen to my show the day Walker was out for the season, like I tried, but you just know it. Here's something pretty exciting. Walt Clayton, road trip, 14. This is just offense. 47% from the field, 43% from 3. So nice to see. Taylor, as we expected. We're not going to judge him. 16 minutes, 36% from the field, 25% from 3. We're going to go over a lot of this on Wednesday, on Trends Wednesday for the Jazz, but I thought the road trip was kind of an interesting bellwether moment of those 5 games to see what we have. Here's what's really changed. And this is shooting frequency by opponents. Now, we've talked about this a lot, that there is some element, the hometown scorekeeper. But our first 5 games of the year, and I don't have the raw numbers. I'm going to give you percentages. Excuse me. The Clippers took 14% of their shots at the rim. Sacramento took 20%. Phoenix took 19%. Portland took 21%. Okay? Like, Phoenix took 24% the second half. That is defensively in the 99th, 99th percentile. Like, the Clipper number at 14 is one of the best defensive performances of the year, denying the rim. And then Sacramento at the 92nd percentile, and then Phoenix at the 95th percentile, and Portland at the 90th, and Phoenix at the 80th. There is some question whether our hometown scores don't count rim shots. I think that's legit to take, just to be fair. However, we go on the road, and suddenly Charlotte took 33% of their shots at the rim. Boston, who does not take shots at the rim, only took 20. Detroit took 41% of their shots at the rim. And then Minnesota shot 36% of their shots at the rim. Will built the entire defense in the offseason predicated on taking the rim away, which really is Walker Kessler and then secondary rim defenders helping Yusuf Nurkic. And now we don't have that. And it's abundantly clear. And I don't know what his answer is here. To me, that's kind of the daunting thing here. The second one is that our offense has just totally disappeared. On the road trip, our offensive rating percentile to the league performance. So if something's in the 3rd percentile out of 100 performances, it would be the 3rd worst. Okay? You understand percentile? So we're in the 3rd percentile against Phoenix, the 11th percentile against Charlotte, the 30th percentile against Boston, the 9th percentile against Detroit, and the 0 percentile against Minnesota. That was the worst offensive game by any team all year. I mean, it's hard to think that Walker is that big an impact, but he is. Walker does 2 things that nobody on this roster else does. One, Walker runs the floor on fast breaks and gets in front of people at a rate that a lot of our guys don't do. In fact, no one does. Maybe Lauri a little bit. And number 2 is Walker rim rolls on a pick and roll. And I don't know if the lack of rim roll is the reason, But our three-point shooting in the last 4 games, 7 of 32, 9 of 31, 12 of 39, 9 of 39. That's a tough one. The road trip as a whole, 5-game road trip, shot 27.5% from 3. So we got to pick that. That's going to lead to some long nights if that doesn't change. All right, Trends Monday next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of Locked On and the official betting partner of the NBA. And there's no better place to get back into the action than FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the game of the start or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when you're teams making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On. The FanDuel lines on the night, NBA and NFL lines tonight. The NFL Monday night game, which if you have YouTube TV, you're not going to watch, is the Eagles and the Packers. Should be a fun one. Packers are 1.5 favorite on that. NBA tonight, Jazz are a 7.5-point dog to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Clippers and the Hawks tonight in LA. Clippers are a 5-point favorite. Clippers not playing well. I would be super concerned if I was a Clipper fan right now. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Game Time. Taking away all the negatives of ticket buying. I don't mean to be negative to lead the conversation, but taking away all the hassles, all the worry about extra fees, all those kind of things with Game Time and giving you the best purchase experience you can have. So no queues, no surprise fees, no prices jumping right before checkout, none of the things that frustrate you. The app gives the fans the advantage. It's the ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets, fast, easy, and stress-free. Recently used Game Time to grab seats to concerts, and it worked perfectly on the road. Kind of look to see what I can find as well. You'll see exactly what you're paying for. No hidden fees at checkout. There's also zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first swipe, tap, ticket, go. Trends Monday. All right, I have to share because I share with you guys everything. So I obviously I'm congested. So I've taken more crap than you can imagine. But this morning, getting ready for the show, I forgot to do one thing, which is eat. And just about 5 minutes ago, my entire stomach just completely reacted, and I could not feel worse right now because I have all the medicine in me and forgot to eat my food to go down with it. And if you actually look on YouTube, you can probably see I'm sweating. So kind of fun. Hopefully nothing tragic happens here the next 2 minutes or 5 minutes to wrap up the show. Okay. Every Monday we do Trends Monday. We like to look at where teams are in the NBA. We look at their last 10 games, and then we look at their last 2 weeks, and we might even go to the last 5 games this week because of where we are in the process. Cleaning the glass looks at 2 weeks. We're a little deeper than 2 weeks. It's kind of 7, 8 games. And then we look at the NBA.com numbers for team stats for the last 10 games. And that's kind of where we are for the season right now. There's some interesting things to look at this point because you're beginning to get things. First off, I'm not entirely sure that these 6 teams that are in the playoffs, non-playing in both the East and the West, aren't the 6 teams already. Like, if you look at it, I'm not sure this is the order, but Detroit, Cleveland, New York, Chicago, Miami, and Milwaukee. Who's knocking out? Chicago's the team you don't expect in there. Who's knocking them out? Philadelphia, Toronto, Atlanta, Boston, Orlando, maybe, but I'm I just have not been sold on Orlando all season, even coming in. So I actually think that Detroit, Cleveland, New York, Chicago, Miami, Milwaukee might be the teams. In the West, it's Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Denver, Lakers, Houston, Minnesota. Who's knocking them out? Not Portland, not Golden State, not Phoenix, not Memphis. And I think the Clippers are going to be in the lottery. I don't think Clippers are figuring this out. Clippers have trailed by 20 too many times. That's kind of my benchmark I look at. They've trailed by 20 too many times. All right. So let's take a look at this. Whose offenses are clicking? This is crazy. Houston has the best offense in the NBA right now. At a 121.7. What's so interesting about all these things is that none of these leagues keep all these different sites. It's so annoying. All these different sites keep different offensive ratings and different systems and different this and that. Because like I go to Radar 360 and they have, which is Sports Radar, and they have Denver Nuggets as the number one offense, and Minnesota is number 2, and the Knicks is number 3, and Houston is number 4. And this one has Houston as 1, the Knicks is 2, Denver is 3, and Minnesota is 4. And then Philadelphia slides from 5 to 8. So I do not know how everyone is calculating differently, but using NBA.com, because it's, I guess we'll call it the best. Houston is 1, Knicks are 2 offensively. Houston is grabbing 41% of their offensive rebounds. That's how they're doing this. They're shooting it well. They're the 8th best shooting team in the league. I'm not sure that that's totally sustainable. But they're the 8th best shooting team in the league, but they're getting 41% of their own offensive rebounds. That makes them the best offensive team in the league. New York is 2. Denver is 3. Denver, to me, is going to have an offense that's better than everybody else by the season's over. Jokic is incredible. That team is perfect. Cam Johnson's not playing well yet, but they're perfect, and they're playing fast. Minnesota 4, Philadelphia 5, and San Antonio 6 offensively. Teams that cannot score. Indiana desperately cannot. Dallas cannot score. Washington, New Orleans, and now Utah is now bottom 5. Memphis is also right there. So surprising team. But we're 10 games in. Memphis is 11 games in. These numbers are real at this point. Defensive teams. Oklahoma City's 1. This is the big surprise. Denver's 2. Detroit is 3. Dallas is 4. Miami is 5. So credit to Dallas, who can't score, that they can play defense. San Antonio is 6. So San Antonio is 6 offense and 6 defense. That's like the makeup of a championship team. Teams that cannot defend: Brooklyn, Washington, New Orleans, Sacramento. Doug Christie was very upset after the game against the Clippers, and then we're 6th. So that's overall teams with a net rating on trends. Oklahoma City and Denver are well above everybody else than Houston. New York's the best in the East. San Antonio, Detroit is 2nd, and Miami after that. Washington, Brooklyn, New Orleans, Indiana, and Utah are the bottom 5 in net rating. That's kind of probably the truth. New Orleans doesn't own their own pick, so they'll get out of there at some point. Looking at the last recent trend, excuse me, give me a second. Last 2 weeks, point differential. Oklahoma City 1, Houston 2, Denver 3, New York 4, and Minnesota 5. 2 back-to-back blowouts will help you. And then Detroit 6. The teams in the last stretch that are struggling the most: Brooklyn, Washington, New Orleans, Clippers, and Utah. I'm telling you, Clippers is not right. Offensively, hottest team in the league, according to Clean Glass, over the last 2 weeks is New York at a 131 offensive rating. Craziness. Houston, then Minnesota, then Denver, then Philadelphia, then Oklahoma City. Defensively, Oklahoma City well ahead of everybody else. Then Denver, Dallas, Detroit, Golden State, and Phoenix. A little surprising that Phoenix is in that group right now. Teams that cannot score over the last 2 weeks: Indiana, Dallas, Washington, Utah, New Orleans. I mean, this is really separating. And teams that can't defend: Brooklyn, Clippers, Sacramento, Washington, New Orleans, and Charlotte. Chicago, by the way, keep an eye on this. Chicago has been living off an unnatural 3-point shooting defense. Teams have just missed a lot of shots against them, and that has suddenly rectified, and now all of a sudden they're 24th in the league in defense. If you just look at shooting accuracy, I would also say Denver's defense, a little suspect right now. Teams are shooting 31.6% from three against them. I don't think that's real. It's just not a number that'll head up to 34, kind of where everybody else is. Brooklyn, Clippers, Charlotte, and New York, interestingly, have kind of been unnaturally bad 3-point shooting against them so far this year. All right, that is your Trends Monday. We'll do late game watch for the third segment tomorrow. Jazz, Timberwolves tonight. Tune in and join Ron and I. Have a great day. Be safe. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We now send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA, and also check out Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night.